Have you ever felt like your ability to notice everything isn't really a superpower? That it's actually more of a psychological trap? Like you're living with a brain that just has no off switch? Well, that's exactly what we're breaking down today. We're going to get into why you feel this way and how this hyper-awareness is really an ancient survival script that's just running completely out of control.
Oh man, we have to start here because it's so painfully relatable, right? Somebody does something nice, something simple, and instead of just taking it at face value, your mind treats it like the opening scene of a crime show. What's the real motive here? What do they really want? What are they about to ask me for? It is absolutely exhausting.
Yeah, I'm betting it does. Look, this isn't just you. This is that whole experience of taking a tiny, maybe a 3-second pause in a conversation and turning it into an entire universe of anxiety and overthinking. You are definitely not alone in this mental marathon.
And that's really the perfect way to describe it, isn't it? You don't just passively exist. You are actively, aggressively auditing everyone's tone of voice, their body language, the entire emotional temperature of the room. It's like your brain is just hardwired to do it, and you can't just turn it off.
And here it is. This is maybe the most important thing to get. What you're experiencing is not some kind of personality flaw. Think of it like a feature, not a bug. It's this deeply ingrained survival mechanism that's been cranked up way too high, and now it's just running wild in a world that frankly doesn't always need that level of threat detection.
So where does all this wiring even come from? Well, psychology tells us it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. It really seems to boil down to two main paths. You are either born with this high-resolution lens on the world, or life taught you that you needed one just to survive.
So on one side, you have the highly sensitive person, or HSP. This is an innate trait. Your nervous system is just built to process reality in like painful high-definition detail. And then on the other side, we have hypervigilance. Now, this isn't something you're born with. This is a learned response. It's an emotional radar that you had to develop. It's a survival inheritance.
And this right here, this powerfully illustrates that made this way path. I mean, think about it. If you grew up in a home that was emotionally unstable, you had to learn the specific sound of a cabinet slamming shut or tires crunching in the driveway just to know if danger was on its way. You had to become an expert at reading the emotional weather just to feel safe.
So, let's be really, really clear about this. You are not broken. You're not damaged. What you have is a kind of intelligence that was forged in the fire of survival. The only problem now? That protective shield you had to build? Well, it's basically fused to you. It's always on guard whether the threat is real or just imagined.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's talk about the how. How does this massive, invisible shield of awareness take a completely normal, boring Tuesday and just turn it into a psychological stress test? Ah, yes, the dreaded, vague Slack message. For most people, this is just another notification. For you, it's a summons. It is the starting gun for a mental deep dive where you catalog every single possible mistake you've made in the last 6 months. And this just lays out the difference perfectly. Other people see the words on the screen. You detect an invisible coldness in the digital text. They just move on with their day. Meanwhile, you've already created 10 different scenarios for getting fired, and each one is more detailed and disastrous than the last.
So, what is actually going on in your brain? Well, part of the answer is something called the default mode network. Now, for most people, this system kicks in when they're spacing out or daydreaming. But in your brain, it's hyperactive. It's running all the time, constantly connecting everything back to you and analyzing your place in the universe.
And it's not just aimed outward at the world. You also turn that incredibly powerful analytical camera inward on yourself. This is called metacognition, basically thinking about your own thinking. And for you, that switch is permanently stuck in the on position, just relentlessly interrogating your own thoughts and feelings.
And this is just the perfect example. You can't just enjoy a moment, you experience it, and then a split second later, you're critiquing your own performance of it. It's like you're both the actor on the stage and the harshest critic in the audience, all at the same time. A constant, exhausting self-audit.
All of this analysis, this constant auditing, it comes at a really steep price. Seeing everything, questioning everything, it leads to a very specific kind of loneliness. Let's dig into the social and emotional toll this actually takes.
When you can't just take things at face value, you lose a kind of relational innocence. It makes it incredibly hard to trust people. And then it gets worse. Your empathy is so strong that you don't just understand how other people feel, you physically absorb it. Their anxiety literally starts making your own heart beat faster.
Which brings us to interoception. That's your brain's internal body scanner. And because you're already on high alert all the time, this system gets confused. So you drink a coffee, your heart rate goes up a little, which is totally normal, but your brain misreads that physical data as an emergency signal. It starts screaming panic attack. It creates this brutal, vicious feedback loop of physical anxiety.
So why? Why does your brain put you through all this? Well, it's because there's a hidden strategy at play here. There's an unspoken, deep-seated belief that is driving this entire exhausting process.
The subconscious goal is actually brutally simple. If you can just predict every single variable, if you can see every potential disaster coming, then you believe you will never, ever be surprised by pain. You'll always be ready for impact.
And that all boils down to a single, powerful motivation: control. All of your overthinking, all of that analysis, it's a desperate, elaborate attempt to control a future that is completely uncontrollable just to protect yourself from getting hurt.
But here's the cruel irony in all of this. In your relentless, all-consuming effort to protect yourself from some future pain, you completely sacrifice the present moment. That shield of protection has cost you your own presence.
So what can you actually do? You can't just turn this off. That's like asking someone with perfect eyesight to suddenly see blurry. So the goal isn't to stop seeing, it's to change how you relate to what you see. First, try to observe without absorbing. Notice the shift in your boss's tone, but don't immediately take it on as your fault. Just label it. I'm noticing a change in tone. That's it. Second, reframe. When your heart starts racing after that coffee, tell yourself, this is just caffeine. This is physical data, not a sign of impending disaster. And finally, you have to build boundaries. Realize that your perceptive gift requires protection. That means you have to decide whose energy you let in and whose you keep at a distance. Your clarity is a superpower, but only when you're the one in control of it.
And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. Your depth is not a flaw. You don't have to carry the psychological weight of the entire world. So instead of a sharp, analytical laser that cuts into and dissects everything, what if your awareness could be more like a warm candle? Something that provides a gentle light and warmth for yourself and for others without burning everything it touches. What would that even look like for you?